Why is it recording? Teacher Wanyan.
Yes, Mr. Center.
Oh,
Wanji sebo face
oh,
nga
teacher.
nnene. Wanji
Face nene. Nze nga
face nga
sigiraba.
ejjudde mu screen.
Nze nga sigiraba.
Tegiraba nze nkulaba face yonna eriiso lyonna lijjudde screen. Lijjudde
Oh,
screen.
njiraba. Nange njiraba.
Mm.
Anti leero nga namitinga. Nina bwe ngenda omitinga omwana.
Mm.
Kati simulabangako. Alina osooka n'andaba naye ne mmulaba.
Eh,
Awo ne ndyoka ntandika.
let me
Naye
set to allow participants to do what? Unmute by themselves upon entry. Kandi ejja kukola eyo. Omwezi tannayingira.
abayizi b'ennaku zino obamanyi.
Mamanyi
Tutambulira ku kisa ayinza n'okugaana okuyingira.
wakwegayira masita bw'aba tazze tujja
N'agaana okuyingira.
naye sente ze oli mu kuzirya.
Tebanansasula nti bwe buzibu obuliwo.
Obuzibu bw'amaanyi obwo masita.
Naye nga bajja kunsasula lwa mpaka.
Balina okusasula.
Kanjira mulindalindamu wano.
Kaali kankufuule ki kankufuule host.
Okay. Ne online simulabako.
Wakukubira
Sigenda mukubira ssimu ssebo.
mwakoze appointment.
Si bbanga lya wala ddakiika nga 3 oba 4 emabega.
Yes, sir.
Gwe ssebo.
Wanji ssebo.
Oscar. Oba nsomeseemu ggwe.
Ompiseemu
Teeka nsomeseemu ggwe omwezi.
mbadde
Luli
njagala.
wangamba gundi neera n'okwerabira mbadde singa bwe nzizeeyo ndaze nali okusharinga screen eplayinga yagaana luli.
Playing ki video.
No, like if I wanted to share my screen, there's something I'm playing on my screen.
It's like a video, right? Wanji?
Yeah.
Kakati you open the video netandika okuplayinga oba nga eri open. then nodda kangezeeko wano okugira okuguidinga ku screen eno gye ndiko share.
ogenda sharing eyo
koze etya ate? Okay, kankole bwe nti eyo giraba kati nteeseko ki? Kanzoke nziggyeko bino ebya YouTube kati bwe mba ndinako maybe video wano ku gundi ku desktop kandabe
okozesa laptop koze
ndi ku laptop oli ku simu naye ku simu
naye ku simu kikwaki wabula ntandika okozesa laptop
ku simu ndowooza kikola
ku simu kikola
onoonya video gy'oplayinga ku simu n'okola ki no-sharinga screen n'ogibikula nebanga eri mu kuplayinga kati n'ogipozinga zoom n'ogamba share screen nekuwa option ya gundi y'okuselectinga app eri mu background then
zona app zibeera selected naye nga teriiwo next option after selecting the app.
Teriiwo next option. Kansooke nkebere wano ku simu ngezeeko okuloginga in.
Nono mwana naasoboka.
Tajja soboka. Mulaba.
Omwana yavudde ku online ku 9:31. Kyokka nga link nagimuweereza ku WhatsApp 9:09.
Ayinza okuba tanaaba ku downloadinga gundi Zoom.
Kati tana downloading kuva 9:00 obwedda ali wano online ku WhatsApp mpaka 28 ng'ali online. Kati Zoom agaze kudownloading.
Ndowooza akilikinze mu link n'emugamba sooka downloadinga Zoom.
Kati kyaliko eri kyalikola.
Ayinza okuba nga kwali.
Leka
mulinde muko kati nyingirawo wano esimu gyekolamu.
Kankubirewo n'essimu eddakiika emu. Zoom nasigalako.
Wange?
Nti gira otunuulira essimu engeri gyekolamu nenyina wano obwedda gwe njagala okkubira. Omwana ono naye anjagala.
Okozesa ddala ejja kusooka ng'okuba.
Kuba kati omwana agaanye okujja tono mwetaaga. Actually obeera busy osobola okwerabira ebintu.
Ekiri.
Recording in progress.
gy'oli. Ani mukubira muntu. Abuddeko.
Oscar,
Wangi Seba.
ndabe wano accounts 3 nendowooza omwana azze kumbe wa.
Waaye ey'essimu.
Kati eyiye sheyalinga.
Kandabe. Okay. Zoom allow zoom. Yes, Facebook app. Yeah, right now. Wali eyo.
Kiki ekyo? Video.
Video.
Anti kati olaba. Eyange bwe ngenda wale no ku screen share. Okay, leka ngendeyo kati wano nkutapinze. Soko teekeko host. One host can share.
Okay, kangendeyo. Mbireke. Teekeko host. Let me use the laptop. Can't use the phone. Huyo ndowooza ali mu waiting room. Oba asooka abeere mu waiting room.
Ali wano ngambye. But I thought it would be tomorrow. My phone has less battery. Neda soko muteekeko.
Kale kankufule host.
Muteekeko tujja kumaliriza program gundi kubanga kati gwe mutandikako. Aze?
Wuyo ajja.
Mulaawo n'atuuse. Babu. Hello? Ate nga mulabako.
Yeah.
Babu. Hello?
Unmute
Hello?
Babu.
Oh, he might be hearing but not able to talk.
Yeah, he's muted.
Okay. I don't have a choice. Unmute. Anyway, I don't normally talk when I'm not sure whether the person is hearing me or not. Babu, please, I can see you're on. Try to unmute or type in the chat there. Try to unmute and confirm your presence. Wow. Are you able to hear me?
Babu, there is a button on your screen. There is a button of stay muted and unmute. So don't click the one of stay muted. Click the one of unmute.
Okay.
Hello?
Hey, I'm getting you. Are you hearing me well?
Yeah.
Okay, you are welcome here.
Fine.
I've seen your message just about now that you don't have battery. Why do you take a long time on TikTok?
I wasn't on TikTok. I wasn't on TikTok.
So how long will your battery take us?
About what?
About? Did you say 1 hour?
No. It can be like 3 hours or 2 hours.
Battery can take us for 3 hours. That is more than enough.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not able. I would like to see you, but I don't know whether there is no light or you. It is just like that. But
I think I should get.
yeah, at least there I can see you. So I'm going to handle you. Of course, with the time, I'll be able to see you clearly. You need a room where there's light at least tomorrow, so that I can know the person I'm teaching. I don't want to find you on the way, and I treat you like a stranger. Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to start sharing, and I will start right away. Is it right away? So you told me you are from a certain school in NASA, no? And
Yeah.
can you tell me why are you changing the school? Yes. Why have you decided to change?
The school. It's because that their sciences are not actually good.
The sciences are not
Hello?
good. Their sciences are not good.
Yeah,
Yes, I've heard you.
yeah.
Mm. Did
And
you go to that
also,
school?
yes,
And also what?
also, I'm getting disturbed with chemistry at the school. They lack teachers who can explain very well, and the teacher also rarely comes.
Mm. Okay. Don't worry. You are going to get a teacher who can explain chemistry very well and who can come whenever you need him to be there. You said your issue is mainly with physical chemistry.
Yeah,
Okay. Don't worry. That one will be solved now that you have joined. I don't know whether you have fully joined. You're in the process of joining this school. You will get sorted. So we are starting with the topic called histology, as I told you. That name on the screen is my name. Babu, I don't know whether you were Muganda, but Babu doesn't sound like a Muganda. Does it?
I'm not a Muganda.
I am Muganda.
No, no.
Okay, no problem. Anyway, the school I've joined, it is not for Waganda. It is for a diverse group of students. And this is the topic we are going to cover today. We shall not finish it, but we shall look at the introduction and some important parts of the introduction. You have heard of histology, and that's all you need there to get the meaning of histology. Study of tissues. So expect that in this lesson we are going to be talking about tissues. So this presentation was prepared for students who are doing revision in the topic they did not understand, but we shall use the same. It's just good. You need to get where to write. Do you have a book and a pen?
Yes.
Yeah, a notebook. You just need a notebook. Which textbooks do you have?
Biological science and functional approach.
Okay, those are just good. So you get a notebook, your pen and notes. Histology, the study of tissues. You note anything you can, whatever you can note according to the speed I'll be using. You should note. Where you feel the speed is too much, you need to understand, not to write. You don't note. But when I say note, you note. Even when I don't say note, provided you feel you need to note, you note. And when I reduce the speed or I start repeating the points, just know you have to note those points for sure. So histology, the study of tissues. You note down tissues. Now, what's a tissue? We define a tissue. What's a tissue? Before we look at the divisions of these tissues, so what's a tissue?
A group of
A
cells.
tissue has a group of
cells. Group of cells.
A group of cells. Okay, you note
It's
that
a group
one.
of related cells that carry out a specific
A group of a group of related cells. That's okay. You can say is a group of related cells. group of related cells connected together or linked, group of closely related cells, or just a group of cells closely linked together, or just linked together, performing a particular function. To perform a particular function. So those are the three key aspects of a tissue. Should be made up of more than one cells. Those
Yes.
cells, they should be of the same type, not same, can be same or similar. They should be very similar. And then those cells should be performing a particular function. Group, they are similar, but they are connected together. The only tissue where cells are not connected is blood. The rest of the tissues, the cells are connected together and then they perform the same or a similar function. Now, tissues are divided or grouped into two. Tissues are grouped into two. The tissues are grouped into two. That is plant tissues and then animal tissues. Plant tissues and animal tissues. Those are the two main divisions of the tissues. Then we shall start with the plant tissues, and then after the plant tissues, we shall be able to look at animal tissues. So you need to list these down under the plant tissues. So after saying tissues are divided into two, plant and animal tissues, then you write plant tissues. Then you first outline all those. That is like the outline of the tissues, so that in case we are leaving out even one, we can be able to remember and get back to it. So we are having the first tissue as parenchyma tissue, and then we have chorenchyma tissue. The third one is serenchyma tissue. Some people call it sclerenchyma, but it can be pronounced as serenchyma tissue. Then there are tissues we call vesicular tissues, vesicular, from the word vessel, vesicular tissues. So these ones, they are two, phloem tissue and then the xylem tissue. There is a tissue called photosynthetic tissue. Photosynthetic tissue. And the last one is called meristematic tissue. I think you have heard of all these tissues, maybe not in details, but you have ever heard of them. So write them down.
Yes.
Are you done?
Yes.
If you're done, that's good. Let's continue. So when we talk about plant tissues, we are meaning what makes up the plant generally, because a living organism is made up of cells, and cells form up tissues. So tissues form organs, and organs form organ systems, which are the ones commonly known for plants: stem, leaves, or the shoot and the root system. So we're gonna start with the parenchyma tissue, and then
Yes.
we go ahead to look at the different parenchyma tissue. If time is enough, we shall look at another tissue, but I think we might look at just parenchyma. If possible, we can look at photosynthetic and meristematic. Those are short, so that when we meet again, You can look at collenchyma, mesenchyma, and then phloem and xylem at once. So parenchyma tissue, and this one is going to show. This is an extract from the BS, and sorry. So let's look at this parenchyma tissue. The parenchyma tissue is called the packing tissue. That's the description of it, but it's given as a name, packing tissue, meaning one of its role involves filling up spaces in other tissues or between other tissues in a plant. That's what's called packing tissue, because it fills up spaces in other tissues. We just need to know the structure. That's description of the tissue. The structure gives the description. Then we need to know the location of the tissue, and then we need to know the function. Once we have the structure or the description, we have the location, and then we get the function. After getting the function, then we can look at adaptation, which is linking the structure to the function of the tissue. So that's what we're going to be doing for each tissue. And then only parenchyma has modified tissues or modified forms. So for parenchyma, we shall also look at modified parenchyma tissue. Now let's look at the structure of this parenchyma tissue. We are seeing that the parenchyma tissue is made up of living cells. That is a description, not a structure, because hope your teachers have told you already that a structure is something that you can see and label. You may not see it with your naked eyes, but maybe use a microscope to see. So something you can label becomes a structure. So when we say it's made up of living cells, that one is not a structure, but it's a description, which is important here. These plant tissues, some are living, others are dead. To mean some are made up of living cells, then others are made up of dead cells. So we should always know which one is made up of living cells and then which one is made up of dead cells. That is key. Okay. So you need to write structure. That is under parenchyma tissue, where you have put it's a packing tissue because it fills up spaces in other tissues. Then structure of parenchyma tissue. You need to write somewhere made up of living. I think that one can be written before structure to be more convenient. It's better to put made up of living cells above. If you ever been asked to describe the structure, you are required not to put this. But if you are told describe generally, you can put that statement. Very important. So look at this. These are cells. These are cells. There are many. And these cells make up what we call parenchyma tissue. Because there are more than two, more than three, it means the structure shown is a tissue. So let's describe from here. We can say that the parenchyma tissue is made up of numerous cells. Numerous cells. That statement applies to all tissues because there's no tissue which is made up of two cells. A group. So from here, I'm seeing that the cells are many. So structure is numerous cells. What else can I see here? I'm seeing that the cells are spherical or circular. So made up of numerous circular cells. Circular. What else am I seeing here? I'm seeing that their intercellular spaces, are they labeled? When you draw 3 circles, in the middle,
Yes.
there is a space that remains. So those are the intercellular spaces. Inter to mean between, cellular cells, between the cells. There are spaces between cells because the cells are circular. So we have 3 numerous circular intercellular spaces. What else am I seeing here? I'm seeing that now I'm going to consider one cells. Anyway, before I consider one cell, I consider these cells are closely packed. You can also add that they are closely packed. Numerous, spherical or circular, closely packed with the air spaces between the cells. Those are 4. Then you can go ahead to look at 1. Look at 1. I'm enlarging this cell. 1 cell, normally the plant cells, their vacuole is not as large as this one. The cell vacuole or the sap vacuole is not too large like this, but this one, the sap vacuole is very large, and it is a feature of parenchyma tissue. So you need to write that one as well. The cells are made up of large central vacuole. We're just continuing with the description. Cells are made up of large central vacuole. What else can you see there? Are you seeing the cytoplasm? The cytoplasm is thin. Thin, why? Because the biggest part in the middle, where the cytoplasm would be, it is made up of the vacuole, which is large. So after saying each cell is made up of large central vacuole, you can add and say made up of thin peripheral cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is thin and on sides. The word peripheral means on side. Thin peripheral cytoplasm. And then you look at the wall. The wall are meaning the cell wall and the cell membrane. Those 2 layers that surround the circle or the circular cell. Those 2 layers make up the wall. So the wall here is thin, very thin. So you're going to add that one. Each cell is a thin walled, or you just add thin walled, THIN, and then walled, WALLED, thin walled. Yeah. The nuclei or the nucleus of plant cells, they are normal on the side, peripheral. Okay. So even this one is on peripheral. You just add that one, peripheral nucleus. Peripheral nucleus. The nucleus is big, is prominent because the cells are living. Yeah, that is a structure. Hope you can now describe the structure of parenchyma tissue. If you are unable tomorrow, you go down in your notebook and you do so. The other feature we can add, which is not a structure but a feature. Feature means anything descriptive of that cell. Description is not structure. We can describe a person as being jumpy, but you cannot label jumpy on a person. So description is just description. Anything you know about something. Structure, something that you can label. If you can't label it, don't. So let's add another description, which is key. They have high solute potential. Which other word? Did you study movement in and out of the cell?
Not yet.
Oh yeah, it's okay. That one you will not study. It's okay. It's a topic which is not necessary anymore. Um, have you ever heard of solute potential, water potential?
I guess.
You guess. You just guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking for a word, simpler word to solute potential. Okay, you write that one. Have high
Is it not the
solute
difference between the
potential.
solid and water?
A what? But Nansana
Difference
is close to
between
Kampala.
the amount of solid in water.
I'm like, Nansana is
Difference
close to
between
Kampala. How comes I can't hear you well? Between what?
I don't know. Between the amount of solid out in this, maybe in the cell, and then what outside the cell.
You are trying to give the meaning of solute potential?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's okay. Solute potential has a specific definition. The difference, yeah. Though we define it as the tendency of a cell to take in water by osmosis, or the degree of lowering of water potential of a cell. Okay, let's just write that one. The cells have high solute potential. Bracket, highly concentrated. That one is simpler. The meaning of that word, high solute potential, you can put in bracket, highly concentrated, to mean that they have high solute concentration. They have more solutes, more sugars, they have more salts. Solute in biology refers mainly to either sugars or salts. That's a solute. Even in chemistry, a solid substance that dissolves in a solvent. I am literally done with the describing the parenchyma tissue, both structure and just the description. You need the structure of parenchyma tissue, but under that, I have described for you the structure of a parenchyma cell. So if you ever get asked,
Yes.
describe the structure of a parenchyma cell, do not get stuck. Just look at this one cell that the BS highlighted. You describe whatever you are seeing or what you can draw. Actually, you need to draw this cell. You need to draw at least one cell. That is so that you can
Yes.
describe them. So they tell you describe a parenchyma cell, you just say it is made up, it is circular or spherical. It is a thin walled, made up of large central vacuole and thin peripheral cytoplasm. That's what we can see. From here, let's locate. Anyway, what this BS drew here, these are practical cells. When you look in the microscope, that is what you see. These cells. So if you ever get or if you have ever been given an Irish potato and they tell you that cut a very thin layer of the middle part, the whole of the middle part of the Irish potato is parenchyma tissue. So if you cut it very thin using a scissor or a razor blade and you mount it on a slide, this is what you see. So you get time and draw that one cell. BS, think page 168 there. You see these cells just
Yes.
after tissues. Location. Where is the parenchyma tissue found? The parenchyma tissue. The parenchyma tissue is typically found in the cortex of the root. The cortex of the root and
The pith.
yes, and the pith. It's also found in the pith. Someone can also say in the pericycle. The pericycle. Because now pericycle itself is the parenchyma. Pith, pericycle, cortex
Yes.
of the root. What else?
The medulla.
In the
The medulla.
medulla of what? Did you say medulla? Okay, I don't get you there, but
Medulla.
when you don't
Yes,
medulla,
of the stem.
medulla of the stem, yeah, that is also okay. So you can see here we tend to be more specific. Cortex of the root, medulla of the stem, the pith, the pericycle, and the epidermis
Yes.
of the leaf. The epidermis of the leaf is purely parenchyma, and that's what we shall be looking at as modified parenchyma tissue. So that's the location. But you choose like 3, which are very, very common. You go with those, or 2. No one will ask you to give 4 locations. No, they will need 1, 2. And you can use those as you make your point strong. So don't take all, just take a few examples that will help you. We are done with that. Now let's look at. So this is the structure of parenchyma cell. This one drawn. So I need you to draw this one very well. One cell.
Yes. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I think you should not disturb yourself with this topic. I think you should teach other topics like genetics, because we already studied this.
You studied this one.
Yes.
Are you sure? But you are the one who told me in your WhatsApp. Aren't you the one? Or you are not sure?
Yes. We already studied. Maybe it was a mistake. No, we studied it.
And I was wondering, how comes you have not handled things of senior 5 second term?
We studied it.
Okay,
We
so
only we only left with genetics, ecology,
genetics, ecology, and
transport.
Now we need to agree now very well. Because now I have to prepare slides. Now these politicians are passing here. Just a moment. Let's first leave these people to pass. I think now we can talk. Let us be specific exactly. Let me list for you the topics for senior, at least senior 5 study term. You are talking of transport. Where are they reached with transport?
Transport.
Hmm?
Let me check. You are on the immune system.
On?
Immune system.
Immune system. Okay. That means actually you have got done with the transport. Now looking at immunity. It's under the same topic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is transport, you need immunity. Immunity, have you started on it or not yet?
We have started on it.
Anyway, that one I will just discuss the first part very fast, and then had you looked at the primary and secondary response?
No.
Had you looked at the first line of defense?
No.
How the body prevents entry of germs?
No.
Okay, so that means the immune system you had not covered as such. Then genetics, had you started on it?
No.
No. What about ecology?
We hadn't started on it.
Any other topic? You told me osmoregulation.
Yes.
You studied the homeostasis, that is glucose regulation.
That's where we were. That's where we were.
Have you looked at how glucose levels are lowered and then how they are increased in blood?
Yeah, using the kidney. Through the kidney. Through the kidney.
And the pancreas.
We were on the kidney. We hadn't reached on the pancreas.
But did you look at the role of insulin and glucagon?
Yes.
Okay. So you are on the kidney, meaning you are starting osmoregulation.
Yes.
Water balance.
Yes.
Correct. So that one we can start with water balance. You had not covered the temperature regulation,
Yes.
Okay. That one I think we can start with water balance, immunity, water balance, genetics, not yet started on. And then what about because you have said fresh, what about coordination?
We had finished coordination in plants
Mm.
and also coordination in animals.
Okay, so we shall concentrate on the other topics. That is the immunity. Yeah, immunity first. That is more of senior 5. Then I think after that we can look at either ecology or genetics, and then
Yes.
we see. But I think no, genetics. That one we shall look at it at school. It requires
Yes.
more of illustrations and all that. So let's
Yes.
go for immunity now.
Yes.
Then we shall look at ecology. Then we shall end with osmodulation anytime if we got a bit more time. Let me check here
Yes.
whether I have a name. Slide is all notes for immunity.
Mm. Neza. Neza.
Cool. When you have to talk, you can first mute and then you talk with someone, then you unmute later. Now this is the slide. These are notes by a certain man called Nakabanka. So you can unmute. I normally like to communicate with people, with the person, when I'm able to get the feedback. So tap that mic button which has a which is red and closed. You remove that close and we shall be able to hear each other. Shakul. Shakul. Unmute. Unmute. And then we continue. I cannot be sure that I'm not talking to myself when you are not responding. Are we there?
Hello? Yes.
Okay. So I wanna ask you whether you looked at the functioning of blood in terms of immunity, defense, the defensive function of blood clotting. Did you?
No.
Okay. I'm assuming that you looked at other functions of blood, and we start
Yes.
from here. Defense against diseases. Now,
Yes.
defense is the subtopic where we have immunity, and immunity is just a subset of defense because immune system, its role is to defend the body, but the body has other mechanisms of defending itself from entry of germs or from
Yes.
germs that have entered. Actually, immune function or the immune system is to deal with the germs that have entered into the body. But now there are other mechanisms that hinder the germs from entering, and they're the ones we are going to look at later. We shall look at immunity. Um, so here I'm seeing the defensive mechanism of blood, or the defensive functions of blood include: one is blood clotting, phagocytosis, and then immune response to infections. So you know very well that when you get a cut, blood does not get lost or does not get out of the cut area continuously. It gets out for a short while and then blood flow stops. And that one is what we call clotting. Now, phagocytosis is where a cell engulfs another cell. A cell eats another cell. That's phagocytosis. And this phagocytosis is commonly known for white blood cells. So you studied the transport, and under transport, you looked at the types of white blood cells. You looked at the neutrophils. The neutrophils, they are good at engulfing other cells. So that is how blood helps the body against germs. First of all, it undergoes what we call blood clotting in case the body part is damaged. The clot formed prevents further entry or prevents entry of germs. And that's immunity. So the clot has other functions like preventing excessive blood loss and also contributing to the healing of the wound. Then there is also another function that blood performs, which we call immune response. Immunity, this forms part of the immune system. The blood has white blood cells. The white blood cells, they form those neutrophils, monocytes, and then when in case there is a germ in the body, there are cells that divide called the stem cells to form immune cells, which are called the B cells, of which the B cells divide from plasma cells and memory cells, which produce antibodies that defend the body. But now, not to go into that because that one we shall look at it later. Let's look at blood clotting. Blood clotting. And we need the process of blood clotting. It is quite crucial. It requires a lot of remembering, but sequential. So it's not actually, people study it in senior 2. We teach it in senior 2. So this is a recap of senior 2 work. So when a body part is damaged, there is what we call rupture or breakdown of the blood vessel. And once the blood vessel is broken down, then air, the platelets get exposed to air. Now, when with the damaged part and the presence of platelets that are exposed to air, those ones produce an enzyme. The damaged tissues together with platelets, they produce an enzyme called thromboplastin. The name is there highlighted. I've said what causes production or what brings about clotting, damaged tissues, which cause exposure of platelets to air. Now, the damaged tissues and the platelets which are exposed to air, they produce an enzyme, thromboplastin, which can also be called thrombokinase. Now, that enzyme, thromboplastin, what does it do? It catalyzes conversion of a soluble protein in blood, prothrombin. Should be just conversion of a protein in blood, prothrombin to thrombin, which is also another enzyme. This occurs in the presence of calcium ions and vitamin K. So, in the presence of vitamin ions, and of which they are always present in blood, and vitamin K, thromboplastin, an enzyme formed by platelets and damaged tissues, catalyzes conversion of an inactive protein prothrombin to an active enzyme thrombin. The word pro means inactive. When we remove that word, then it means what is formed is active. Yeah, so that's what we are having as that story. But today I don't have the screen. I would be writing. I'm going to organize my screen. So what we need here, you can form a sequential description, visual description of this. You just name somewhere damaged tissues and the platelets exposed to air. Then those ones produce prothrombin. You can draw the arrow there, prothrombin, and then the prothrombin together or in the presence of calcium ions and vitamin vitamin K catalyzes conversion of a prothrombin to thrombin. The other one is thromboplastin together with calcium ions and vitamin K catalyzes conversion of
Thrombin.
Hello? Agambye akomawo.
Shakur,
Yes.
where did we stop?
Formation of thrombin.
Formation of thrombin.
Yes.
Okay. So I was like, once the body part is damaged, there is a rupture of what? Blood vessel. Once blood vessels are ruptured, the platelets get exposed to air. The ruptured tissues, together with the platelets, produce an enzyme, prothrombin. No, thromboplastin. Thromboplastin catalyzes conversion of prothrombin to thrombin in presence of calcium ions, and vitamin K. Prothrombin is an inactive protein. Thrombin is an active protein. Now, to continue with that, what is the role of thrombin? A thrombin catalyzes conversion of fibrinogen in blood to fibrin. Fibrinogen is an insoluble protein. It is converted. Fibrinogen is a soluble protein, sorry. It gets converted to fibrin, which is an insoluble protein. Fibrin forms the fibers. Of course, that is around the wound. It forms fibers in which red blood cells and white blood cells get trapped. They dry and form a clot, which is a blood clot. The fibrin is insoluble and fibrous, so forms fibers around the wound in which red blood cells or blood cells get trapped, and then the fibers and the blood cells dry to form a clot. So the role of the clot is to prevent entry of germs into the body, to prevent excessive blood loss, or to stop blood loss, and lastly, it is the first step in wound healing. You may need those three simple answers.
Yes.
You need the process of clotting, but you as well need those three simple answers. You can apply them somewhere. Okay. Yeah. Now there is a concern. Okay. If blood clotting can occur, what prevents that blood clotting from occurring inside blood vessels? What prevents blood clotting from occurring inside the blood vessels? Okay, so we need to think about that. And from Craig, according to this author, there's a book written by Craig that's called Advanced Biology Principles and Application. Its author is called Craig. So he gives us an answer to that. That the body produces a chemical called heparin. Okay? We are answering a question, man.
Yes.
The concern is blood clotting occurs when a body part is bad, okay, or when a body part is damaged. What prevents that clotting from occurring inside the blood vessels? The first answer is under tissues. Blood vessels are lined by squamous tissues. Now, those squamous tissues in the blood vessels, they produce a chemical called heparin. Or you can say they produce an anticoagulant, which inhibits blood clotting or conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. Eyo giwandiike ssebo. Write down and say, how is blood clotting prevented inside the body? One, the body produces heparin, an anticoagulant. These words are here. Some of these words I talk, they are here. For spelling and all that, you can copy some from there. So the body produces heparin, which is an anticoagulant that inhibits conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. So in doing so, clotting is prevented. So that one is the first one. Another method is the lining of the blood vessels is smooth. This prevents them from rupturing. Note that one as well. The lining of the blood vessels is smooth. This prevents them from rupturing rupturing is breaking to release blood. This prevents them from rupturing. If you have been here listening well, I said thromboplastin, the first enzyme produced during blood clotting, is produced when the body vessels or blood vessels are ruptured. Now there is a mechanism that prevents rupturing of blood vessels inside. What can cause them to rupture is friction between blood cells and the lining of the blood vessel. Now the lining of the blood vessel is made up of squamous tissue. Squamous tissues are flattened. They are flat and smooth. So the smooth nature of the lining of blood capillaries prevents rupturing of the blood vessels. Checho. Those are the two answers so far. Of course, you can read a book and a textbook and find more answers somewhere. Here at A level, we depend entirely on textbook. Answers which are not so much quoted, we may not accept them as such, but we don't restrict you from creating answers. You might have a head which is good that it can what? It can create answers which are credible, but it's good to always make research so that your answers are really good. Since we are looking at defense against germs, defense against infections, how does the body prevent entry of germs? Yeah, so we can look at that. How does the body prevent entry of germs? Using this man's knowledge here. So the first one should be clotting, blood clotting. Shakul,
Yes.
you first mute, yeah? You mute. When I tell you unmute, you can always unmute, or when you want to say something. But I'm hearing a baby crying. You mute, then when you answer something, you unmute. Or when I tell you that you unmute, then you do so. Okay. So we are going to outline those mechanisms. This was examined last year. It's one of the simplest questions in this topic. From the start of the topic, how does the body prevent entry of germs? Very simple answers. One is blood clotting. We are outlining them. Blood clotting. And explanation already have it that the blood clotting forms a clot on damaged part which blocks entry of germs. A clot like that prevents entry or blocks entry of germs. Now, germs cannot enter the body unless there is an opening. Yeah, germs do not enter the body unless there is an opening. What prevents those germs from entering the body unless there is an opening is the impermeable skin covering the body. Okay, so you can say presence of impermeable skin. Impermeable skin. The skin from tissues histology. You studied stratified epithelial tissue, animal tissue. The stratified epithelial tissue is made up of many layers of cells and it is keratinized. An example of the location where stratified tissue is found is the skin. Your skin is keratinized, therefore it is impermeable, prevents entry of any foreign body into it. So you have written that one. You say by impermeable keratinized skin, which blocks entry of germs. You have outlined and explained at the same time. Explanation is in that word, impermeable and keratinized. Actually, the skin is also multi-layered, made up of dead cells. The outermost layer is dead cells. Okay. Then there is this answer which this guy put as a bracket. But when you read BS, it is a clearly separate answer. You can write secretion of sebum on the skin. When you look at the skin has hairs. The hairs have small pores, but those pores are in contact with, they are in continuity and contact with the sebaceous glands. The sebaceous glands produce sebum to lubricate the hairs, to make them flexible and all that. But the sebum also kills germs that would enter into the body along the hair follicles or the hair. On the hair, there is a very small pore there. So the germs could enter there, but the hair is neighbored by or surrounded by sebaceous glands which secrete sebum. So you can put that secretion of sebum by the skin. Sebaceous glands are in the skin, or you can say by the sebaceous glands in the skin which kill germs. Now, killing is the explanation. You know O-level, new curriculum, you were required to explain each and every point. What about A-level? So, secretion of sebum, which kills germs. Then another one is presence of mucus in the nose and cilia, which trap dust and microorganisms or germs. Okay, you also outlined that. He outlined that. I didn't tell you that you copy the process of clothing. You find time, you go there and deal with it. But these ones, you have to outline them down and put that simple explanation. Don't copying directly, but though these ones also very simplified. So the mucus in the nose, its role is to trap dust and germs, preventing them from entering into the lungs or into the body. Because once the germs cross the mucus region, deep, they are very soft, so the germs can easily enter. But here at the interface of the nose, it is keratinized as well. When you put the finger inside your nose, that first part of the nose is keratinized. It's as hard as the outer skin, so germs may not easily enter the cells. But once they go past the mucus layer, deep inside there, cells are very soft. Germs can easily penetrate them. And then hydrochloric acid, germs are prevented from entering the body by presence of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, which burns and kills the germs. Yeah. And then the tears in the or produced by the eyes contain lysosomes. Lysozymes, these are like enzymes which they break down germs. So because the eyes are a bit of openings, germs could enter the body through the eyes. But now the eyes produce tears, and those tears, the liquid parts, they contain hydrolytic enzymes called lysozymes, which destroy the germs. And also saliva in the mouth. some germs do not cross through the mouth because the saliva contains lysozymes as well, the same that is in the saliva. So not saliva, the same that is in the tears. Saliva produced contains lysozymes, which hydrolyze. Breakdown here in the biology is better to use the word hydrolysis or hydrolyze, which hydrolyze the what? Which hydrolyze the germs. Okay. Then vomiting and sneezing. Vomiting and sneezing. Sneezing is the kwetiamla that the president was talking about during COVID period. The involuntary sneezing, not the sneezing where you get the ankle and then you tell your people who are near you, first extend a bit, I'm going to sneeze. No, not that one. Something can enter your nose and then you sneeze without even touching your nose, involuntarily, rapidly. So that reflex action. Once the germs enter the nose, there's that tendency of sneezing out, and then the germs can get out. Also vomiting. Sometimes you vomit when you don't know, but other times you vomit when you have eaten something which is not very good. So there's a mechanism in the body whereby if what has entered in the stomach is not usual, then the food has to be taken out to prevent complications. Two more methods always how the body prevents entry of germs. Presence of wax in the ear. In the ears there is wax which blocks entry of germs. And then lastly, the hairs in the anus, they form a barrier to the entry of germs. Yeah, presence of hairs in the anus which prevents entry of germs. So I think now you are learning, though we don't know the role of some hairs, but everywhere there are hairs or any structure on the body, it has a biological significance. The hairs in the anus, they perform an immune function of preventing or reducing entry of germs. Okay. I think the question is here. Why blood does not clot in vessels, in the vessels? Yeah, that one we have talked about it. So from there we can talk about body defense systems and mechanisms in humans. But I want you to animate and tell me whether you have written those points and whether you are still following. Just animate a bit, tell me, and then unmute.
Yes, I've written them.
Okay, very good. Yeah. I just tell my students that to fail something which is hard can be understandable, but there are things that a person fails and you feel, does this person really put in energy or efforts as he's reading? These are examinable points. And they are the simplest. Last year, over because UNEB was rolling out the curriculum, they put 10 marks just on these mechanisms. 10 marks, explain the mechanism. And these are just the answers required. So let's continue. We look at the body defense systems and mechanisms in humans. This is going to be a narration of the story of how brilliant the body is and its creator. So when you talk about body defense mechanism, they are They are grouped. There's what we call specific defense mechanism and then the non-specific defense mechanism. Specific and non-specific. Under that, that's why we shall find first line of defense and then the second line of defense. Of course, we have what we have just discussed up here forms what we call the first line of defense. The skin covering the whole body to prevent or to interfere with entry of germs. That one forms the first line of defense. In this text, when you hear of specific and non-specific, of course, okay, before you look at specific, when they talk of first line of defense and then second line of defense, first line is that, then the second line is when the germ has passed and has entered the body, then enters the body cells. Now, your body switches on the second line of defense, which involves production of antibodies, protein chemicals that destroy the germs. That's called the second line of defense. The first line of defense is these mechanisms we have discussed, and some three more. What we have discussed is some of the first line of defense mechanisms. Then we have mechanisms like phagocytosis, white blood cells as they engulf germs. That is first line of defense. We also have other cells we call natural killer cells. So everything which does not involve chemicals, antibodies, that one is the first line of defense. We have what we call monocytes, which are a type of white blood cells. The monocytes destroy germs once they are inside the body. Then there is what we call neutrophils. Neutrophils, they also undergo phagocytosis to destroy the germs. The monocytes, for them, what they do, they are called actually macrophages. Macro to mean large. Phage is eating, large eaters, like that. So that is the meaning of first line and second line of defense. Then from there we can look at what we call specific and non-specific immune system. The way you hear that, the acid does not specify which germ to kill. It just burns whatever comes into the stomach. It just burns it, provided it's a germ. Then, when we talk about specific immune system, that is, or immunity, that is where chemicals are produced. And those chemicals are only responsible for destroying a specific type of germ. The antibodies that destroy or that deal with HIV are not the same antibodies that deal with cough, that deal with plasmodium infection. Each of infection the body experiences triggers production of a specific type of antibodies. So antibody immunity or antibody defense system, which is actually the immune system, is what we call the specific defense system, the specific immune system. So the non-specific are these methods we have looked at: white blood cells destroying germs and the natural killer cells. That is what we call non-specific. The other terms I will bring in, we shall be calling them humoral and cell-mediated response. Let me show you this. Now, such a text like this one is good for reading. Please, you read it when you are not interested in remembering just, but you're interested in understanding. Okay, you don't read this one when you are going for an exam. You read it because you want to understand at a given time. Just read. So we are here. Summary of the defense mechanisms. So let's go through this. We're having immunity, and the immunity is divided into two. Okay. So we should first go with the specific. Under specific, you can see there are only two: antibodies and lymphocytes. Only those. So specific immune system is mainly by antibodies. Those are proteins which people refer to as the soldiers of the body. They are the ones which are mainly responsible for destroying germs that have already entered the body. Those are the lymphocytes are cells that actually produce antibodies. Cells that produce antibodies. Though there are other cells which are called lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, that do not produce antibodies, but they fight the germs in other ways. Then when we come this side of non-specific, we have internal non-specific and then external non-specific. External, these are the ones we have discussed. I want to go to those: skin, and secretion, mucus, hydrochloric acid, all those. Then when you look at this side of internal, hope you are following with me. That's where we find phagocytes. Phagocytes, these are the neutrophils, macrophages, and eosinophils. The macrophages are the monocytes. If you remember types of white blood cells, the main types of white blood cells are two: the neutrophils and the monocytes. Monocytes are the macrophages. Monocytes make up 24%, 2.4. They make up 24%, I think. And then the neutrophils, they make up 71, around 71%. 24 plus 71, that's what? That's 95. So the 5% goes for basophil, eosinophils, and the other type. So phagocytes, those ones, their role is to destroy, to engulf and destroy. Okay, phago is to eat. Then we have natural killer cells under this internal, but these are non-specific. They destroy everything irrespective. Natural killer cells. These ones are special type of cells. You have to remember them. I won't explain to you exactly what they are. I will just tell you what they do, and that will make the meaning of what they are. Because a killer, we don't know the meaning of a killer, but a killer is well known by his action. So someone can tell you that one is a killer, and you tell him and you ask, who is a killer? You just know by his role. So the natural killer cells, their role is to destroy germs that enter the body. They work together with the neutrophils, which are white blood cells, and macrophages, which are also white blood cells. Another method is inflammation, and fever. Inflammation is some kind of swelling of a body part which results into fever coming in. That activates the body cells to work better, the white blood cells to work better. And then antimicrobial proteins. Those antimicrobial proteins, for them, their role, once a germ comes into the body, they stimulate the T cells, the lymphocytes up here under specific, to produce more antibodies. That's the role of antimicrobial proteins. So basically, that is it. We are talking a lot here, but there isn't a lot. Only that these are answers. This cycle can generate a question. So if you can do this cycle, you know, immunity, yes, it has two types: specific and non-specific. Specific means mainly antibodies.
Yes.
Some kind of lymphocytes which produce antibodies and also fight germs by other methods. Non-specific, you outline them. You may not say external and internal, but better to say external and internal, so that you see that these internal, they work on germs that have really entered the body. External, they prevent entry of germs. So that means that if you're asked, how does the body deal with germs that have entered the body, you exclude external and write everything here. Specific is the part, non-specific internal is the part. Once the germ enters the body, phagocytes are going to be activated, the neutrophils and macrophages to start destroying. The natural killer cells will become active and destroy the germs. The body will undergo inflammation and the fever will take place or will come into play, activating, because inflammation precedes or comes immediately before fever. Fever is increase in body temperature to activate the white blood cells to work better. You also say antimicrobial proteins are produced to activate the antibodies to destroy the germs. In short, that is how the body deals with germs that enter or that have entered the body. How does the body prevent entry of germs? We have those answers. So if you have a question, pause it and then we'll see how we can continue.
I was asking, so the sebum is produced through the sweat?
So sebum?
Yes.
No. It is not through the sweat. Remember, in the body, actually on the skin there are two pores. To me, there are two pores, but to many
Yes.
other people, one pore is prominent. Yeah, the sweat pore. Not so. There's what we call the sweat pore. The sweat pore is a pore on the skin that goes down through the sweat duct. The sweat duct goes down, and it connects to the sweat glands. The sweat glands, their role is to produce sweat, to remove excess salts from the body. Omunyo, that's why when you sweat, your sweats contain a lot of salt. So a sweat is salty. That's one role of the sweat glands, to excrete excess salt. And urea does not get out of the body through the urine only. Excess urea gets out of the body through sweat. So the sweat glands are for excretion, removal of excess salts from the body and excess urea, and also removal of excess water from the body. Then the sweat glands produce sweat, which gets out with a lot of heat. So the sweat glands are important in cooling down the body. And that's the reason why on a hot day, when you move out, you sweat. Doesn't mean that on a hot day, you are producing a lot of waste. No. So the sweat glands are for excretion and to temperature regulation. So we have gone there because I'm trying to show you those two powers. So the sweat cannot let out sebum. Sebum is another thing. Its role is to make the hair flexible. You know, when you apply oil on your skin, the skin tends to become soft, not so? It becomes a bit soft. See, oil softens most things because it is a liquid, or a semi-liquid, it's a liquid. Now, the sebum is produced by sebaceous gland, which are on the hair follicles. So the pore from which sebum comes from is just on the hairs, and the sebum, its role is to lubricate the hairs, soften them, and also kill germs. That's the difference between the sweat pore and the pore on the hair follicle. Maybe another thing I can tell you to learn is, I don't know whether you are noting some things, such things that are spoken whereby I'm using this pamphlet, but whereby they are not here. Those ones, if they are not so abstract out of what we are doing, they are even more important than what I'm speaking, which is here. Okay. Because later you might be asked, what is the function of the sweaty glands? But I've talked about two: excretion of excess water, excess salts, and the urea. Then the other role is temperature regulation. As they produce sweat, the sweat gets out with heat, so cooling down the body. So when I look at this person's work, look at this non-specific defense. Now is taking us through this, and for us, we have already discussed this. Tough physical barriers, e.g. the skin. I've talked about that enough. Phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is just cells, a process by which cells engulf. Engulf is like surrounding and they eat the germ. That's phagocytosis. Natural killer cells, I told you, they destroy germs. Antimicrobial proteins, I've told you their role, they activate the lymphocytes to produce antibodies in the presence of germs. I think they have other roles. They have like 3. I don't have the morale to check this BS, but you check there, man. You look for the 2 more roles of the antimicrobial protein. I think they are there. PS. Inflammation. Now we need to look at inflammation and fever. I should start with the fever. Now, fever. How does fever come about? When you get germs into your body, there is production of more antibodies and white blood cells. Because now those cells are switched on, there is need for them to work efficiently. Presence of germ stimulate production of chemicals called pyrogens. Pyrogens. So the pyrogens, their role is to increase the set point. Their role is to increase the set point. Have you looked at that? Under a homeostasis, did you look at the components of a homeostatic system? Shakur, did you look at set point, effector, detector, controller?
Yes.
Now, that one will be used under temperature regulation, but it is the introduction of homeostasis. Now, your body works on the principle of negative feedback mechanism, whereby it has a set point or a norm. The set point is defined under homeostasis as the set level or the level at which the system works. For example, the normal body temperature of a person is 37 or 36.5 to 37.5. The body should ensure that the body temperature does not go beyond that or below that. because that's the most efficient, okay, that is the efficient temperature for enzymes of the body cells to work. Now, under fever means increased body temperature. Now, when you get infected with germs, the body produces chemicals called pyrogens. Pyrogens is Pyrogens, pyrogens. Now, the role of the pyrogens is to increase the set point in the hypothalamus. Remember, the hypothalamus is the detector of temperature, of the internal body temperature, and the controller, the hypothalamus. So when germs enter the body, chemicals called pyrogens are produced. Those chemicals increase or elevate the temperature set point. Set point changes from 37 to around 38. That means that now your body is going to allow the whole body temperature to increase from the normal 37 to 38 normally. When the normal body temperature increases from 37 to 38, the reason for that is to allow or to provide optimum temperature for efficient working of the enzymes in the white blood cells. And that is the role of fever. That is the importance of fever. So fever means increased body temperature that occurs when there is an infection in the body. The increased body temperature provides optimum temperature for efficient working of the immune cells so that they can wipe or they can destroy the germs. I have to repeat this. What is fever and its role combined? We are just going to write it together under fever. I'm like, fever is increased body temperature or increase in the general body temperature above, can say slightly above the normal set point. That is the meaning. Why? The reason is to provide optimum temperature, can say to provide efficient temperature or to provide high temperature for efficient working of the immune cells so that they can destroy germs. That is fever. But I've told you before, this short and clearer version, I've told you about pyrogens. In case the science required of you is more mature, you don't say I didn't tell you about pyrogens. BS, I don't know why it's under temperature regulation, but under fever, should be under fever. So there's production of those chemical pyrogens that increase the normal set point from 37 to a temperature above that. Okay, so let's look at inflammation. You have to look at inflammation. Since we have done with, had your teacher given you some notes about this transport and immunity? Yes?
No.
Okay, I will send you these notes. They are not bad. Use them. So let's look at inflammation.
Yes.
Inflammation means localized swelling. Localized swelling. To inflame should mean what? Inflammation normally means swelling, but we call that one localized swelling. Why localized? Not widespread. In a single area. Inflammation doesn't occur in a wide area, no. If you get punched or at the cheeks or in the face and your face swells, that is the perfect illustration of inflammation. Your body cells, tissues under are reacting to something abnormal, to something new in the body. That should be what? Is it heat? That punch, the effect of the punch is not normal. 2, an example can be when you're bitten by a wasp or a bee. Once a bee stings you, you develop a swelling at the part where the bee has stung you. That means that inside it has put a chemical or it has put pain which is not normal. So the body reacts. The body thinks, does the body think? The body interprets that as something dangerous. So it has to put in place measures that are going to deal with that. Actually, the body interprets that as foreign something has entered the body. It interprets as a foreign or a germ has entered the body. So the swelling, we are going to see what does swelling mean. But whatever it is there to bring about a mechanism that will enable you heal better, or that will enable you destroy or fight that germ that has entered. Though normally inflammation does not occur when there is a germ, but occurs when a part is disturbed. Karen. So what should be in your mind? Inflammation, you should talk about swelling. And what happens after the localized swelling? It is characterized by what are the features of inflammation, and they are the ones used to define it and explain or answer the questions. Inflammation features are localized swelling, 2, redness of the area. When a bee stings you or a wasp, the area becomes red. Is it red hot? Just red. Redness of the area. The red of the red pain, redness. And then 3, redness and then pain. There is pain as inflammation occurs. And then the area becomes leaky. Leaky is Leak. Area becomes leaky.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are the features of inflammation. I'm reading here and I'm seeing that more permeable. More permeable means leaky. Permeability. The illustration of permeability, you draw a red blood, no, you draw a vessel, 2 lines, draw another one which has holes. The one which has no holes, a blood vessel, 2 lines. One without holes, another one with holes. The one with holes, that one is more permeable. That's an illustration of permeability. So that's what we have concerning inflammation. And what brings about inflammation? There are two chemicals. One is called histamine, another one is called prostaglandins. Prostaglandins. I think this man, them here. Histamine and prostaglandins. Yeah, yes, they are here. These two chemicals are here. So inflammation, 2 chemicals, histamine and the prostaglandins. You read them not to confuse histamine with the other one we looked at. What was its name?
Which one?
You have already forgotten. What the anticoagulant that prevents clotting inside?
Zombie. No.
That prevents clotting inside. Kasooka nnyo ku mazzi wano gwe nga bwe weerowooza. Naye wabadde owandiika ssebo.
Yeah.
Kati noonya we wawandiise ombuulire.
Heparin.
Yes? Aha. Heparin. Yes. So histamine, some people students confuse it with heparin. So heparin is an anticoagulant that prevents clotting of blood inside blood vessels. Whereas histamine, let me first get my power bank here. Histamine is okay. So histamine is a chemical that brings about inflammation. And what does it do? Histamine increases blood flow. Increases blood flow at the site. Then prostaglandins increases permeability of the blood vessels at the site. Why? There are two hormones. Okay, there are two chemicals. Histamine should come first, and then prostaglandins. Histamine, its role is to induce increased blood flow to the damaged part or to the injured part. The role of prostaglandins is to increase permeability. It's like to punch holes in the blood vessels at the damaged area. Though this damage is normally internal, not external, okay? So that, and why should histamine cause increased blood flow to the damaged area? To supply their white blood cells to defend against that thing which is not normal, and also supply nutrients to bring about repair and healing of the damaged tissues. Now, the prostaglandins make the blood vessels or the blood capillaries more permeable or leaky to allow more white blood cells to cross from blood into tissues to destroy the germs from there, and also to allow more glucose and nutrients to cross from blood vessel into the tissues to supply nutrients required for repair and dealing with the germ. How is there?
Yeah.
Basically, that is it. And maybe what we can think about, this work is a lot, like what this man wrote. We just need to remove. You read and extract. So I will try to extract. When I said that the histamine chemicals, their role is to increase blood flow to the hit area or the damaged area. How do they do that? They cause vasodilation. Now, vasodilation is enlargement, is widening of blood vessel. That is called vasodilation. And once the blood vessels become wider, that means more blood is going to flow to that area, more blood to supply more nutrients and to supply more white blood cells. Yeah. So in short, how should you summarize this? Because you will summarize it later, or you summarize it, I don't know when, now or later. So you say inflammation involves localized swelling of an area which has been hit or bitten, depending on the question or on the scenario or which has been damaged. It also involves the area becoming red hot and painful. Those are some of the key that I know that are needed there. You find another from a textbook, you add. Then it also involves or comes about as a result of production of histamines and prostaglandins. Histamine increase blood flow to the damaged or to the hit area by causing vasodilation of the blood vessels. Vasodilation to allow more blood to flow to the area. The prostaglandins increase permeability of the blood capillaries in the area to allow more glucose and nutrients to cross into the tissues, and also to allow white blood cells to cross from blood capillaries into the tissues. Full stop. So as to fight the germs and repair the damaged tissues. You cannot get an injury and the tissues are not damaged. The tissues are damaged. Yeah, that's what we have with what? With inflammation. And let me hope you know that the white blood cells, they are amoeboid. The neutrophils, it is mainly the neutrophils that are amoeboid. They squeeze through tiny pores of the blood capillaries. They leave blood capillary and enter into tissues. So the blood capillaries have tiny pores, okay? They are permeable. Prostaglandin makes those tiny pores even larger so that more white blood cells can go through to fight the germs. We are done with that. So I'm having here antimicrobial proteins. These ones we need to write some of their roles. Yeah. So you read it through there and identify 3 roles of the antimicrobial proteins. Then we discuss them.
Hello?
Have you got?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
They
What
are
have you got
responsible.
for me?
They are responsible for attacking microbes.
Attacking microbes. Okay. Any other?
They even initiate inflammation
Mm-hmm.
and also induce neighboring uninfected to produce other substances that inhibit viral reproduction.
Okay. Now you extract those in a summarized form and note them, okay? Not writing a lot. Because
Yes.
if you don't have to write what you want to remember,
Yes.
so just outline those 3 in a short form.
Finish.
Done, okay? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. So we need to look at the specific defense system. I think you can see that here we have been adding more information on these non-specific. Twasoose wangambye Mayina Oluganda, twasoose muki external barriers, ne tuzogerako skin, mucus, hydrochloric acid, those simple answers which are very important. Then natural killer cells ne tuzogerako katono, tubaddeko inflammation, fever, kati antimicrobial proteins, just their rules. Phagocytosis, neutrophils, those ones. So we are done with the non-specific defense mechanism. Here we are done with that. So, but these internal ones, their question is relatively different from the question of the other one, which are external, non-specific. External, they prevent entry of germs. Now, once the germs have passed the external barriers, the skin and the mucus, then it is phagocytosis that comes in, natural killer cells, inflammation, fever, and then antimicrobial proteins. Yeah, those are non-specific. They just destroy everything foreign in the body. Now we are going to specific immune defense system. Just I think an introduction of that, because at 6 I'm going somewhere. And this is the thing. The thing is here. This is where I have the work, not the work that you might find that your unit might get non-specific, but this one has more science because it is indeed only involved a few cells. Now, I don't have much to talk about specific. I think I already talked about it. Though I wanted to define this is specific defense system, stroke immune system, okay, which is acquired immunity. So what is immunity? What is immunity? Because if you know immunity, that means you can define immune system. That means you can define anything related to that. We shouldn't go so far without knowing immunity. And in this bracket, I'm seeing immunity. I want a definition from the BS, but there's this one. The capacity of an organism's body to recognize intrusion of foreign material in the body and mobilize cells and cell products. Cell products are antibodies. This one's putting it very well. To remove a particular sort of foreign material to greater speed. To a greater speed and effectiveness. Man, this is very similar to the one in the BS. Very similar. The only problem with this definition, he has just put words which are looking harder and longer. When you are reading, never, as a student, never try to take things which appear harder, that they have alternative. Some learners go and pick hard words and put, no, just choose the simplest ones. And if you look that this is an English word, okay, the English word is giving you at the time, you can even substitute it with the word you are aware has the same meaning, so that you can easily remember the information using little energy. But this is good. The ability of the body to recognize, okay, presence of germs, to recognize presence of germs and mobilize cells and cell products to remove the germ or the germs with great speed and effectiveness. That is the definition which is good for immunity. It was given by a certain man in the BS. Very similar. So you can be writing that. Don't copy that definition the way it is. There are a lot of words. There are a lot of words. Just remove what is key. Anyway, this definition is exactly like the one in the BS. Yeah? So you can copy and just modify it. Capacity of the organism, of the body. When we say body, the meaning of an organism, okay? The capacity of the body of an organism to recognize entry of germs. Foreign materials are germs, okay? To recognize entry of germs in the body and immobilize cells and cell products to remove the germ or the germs with great speed and effectiveness. Note that it is always good that we understand the meaning of something before we deal with it. Otherwise, it becomes easy. So, in that definition of immunity, it means that under immunity, the body should have ability to recognize the presence of germs. Okay? Then the body sends out information to cells, and the cells produce chemicals which are cell products. Then the other feature is that the germ is removed with great speed. The germ is removed rapidly and effectively. Once you have those, you have it. This guy has put it very well. Cell products, they are meaning antibodies. When they say cells, they are meaning T, lymphocytes, and B, lymphocytes. Like here I'm enlarging. There are two main cells which are involved in immunity. We are now away from defense, okay? Immunity is part of defense, but defense has other parts. They are the non-specific defense system. They are not that immune system as such. Immunity is this production of antibodies. So immunity involves lymphocytes mainly. The B cells or the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. The other things we have been discussing, those ones are defense systems. This is also a defense system, but it is the immune system. Since now we are done with that, I want you to know that you shall write major cells in the immune system. Where we have B cells or B lymphocytes, that one is called the humoral response. Humoral response. One, B cells, bracket, B lymphocytes, stroke, humoral response. Why? Okay, it has another name called the humoral response. Humoral to mean, what's the meaning of that word humoral? It has a meaning in Latin to mean chemical, related to chemicals. Okay, so for B cells, for them, the cells do not fight. Are you getting me? With the immune system has two areas, the B cells and the T cells. The B cells do not fight. For them, they produce antibodies. the end product of the B cells or the B lymphocytes is the chemical. The other cell product is the chemical part, which is antibody. Then the T lymphocytes, those ones fight as cells, they work as cells. So when you go back to the definition, to mobilize cells and cell products, the cell products are the antibodies for B cells. Cells are the T cells or the T lymphocytes. So I believe we shall start from there. This one is just an introduction of immunity. So just an introduction of immunity. So next time, are we meeting on Thursday? Think Thursday, no, Wednesday. We shall meet tomorrow, but one on Wednesday. Yeah, that's when we shall meet, and I will discuss this, finish it, and then look at blood groups. Of course, we shall be studying a lot. You have on Saturday. Next time we shall discuss a lot. You have to rest and come when you are more sober, so that you can handle when you don't go off. Okay. So if you want to tell me something, please say it, because I'm going to leave. I'm going to end this meeting.
Okay, sir. Is there any student like what of me is not going in number? Again, I'm 6.
Again I'm 6. Oyagala mwizi kika ki sebo? Oya mwizi kika ki?
Omulenzi nga ayinza okunyambako like nangamba more about the school gyendaga.
What do you want to know? Ngaki?
Sandi yange yatukayo nga ndi mpya nnyo sina gwe mmanyi.
Kale tofaayo, ngenda kuwa, nja kuweereza ennamba ye. Wamaze okufuna registration? Is it called application form? Admission form wagifunye?
Yes.
Okakasa?
Twagendayo even last year.
Kale ngenda kuwa ennamba y'abantu babiri bemanyi banakukwasaganya bulungi. Okay, you can log out. Have a good evening. Kale.
Thanks.
Okay. The leave button is up there in red. Just tap in the screen, you see red. Oscar.